Morning everybody on this virtual service again. So here we are in the glamour of Pastor Dave's office to bring you this message. Pastor Dave has asked me to share something with you, and so I've called it What a Difference 8 Months Makes. So as 2020 began, people were full of New Year's resolutions, plans for holidays, weddings, starting school, leaving school, going off to uni, important birthdays, and a whole host of other items on their life's agenda. Man thinks he's in control of his future and plans, but sometimes we are reminded that we're not in control at all. However, it's not all bad news. As we've heard so much doom and gloom since this pandemic took over, I thought I'd share a situation where the effects of the pandemic has actually given somebody I know quite a surprise change in life. However, I do know that for some people this year will have been overwhelming. Those who have lost loved ones, those with mental health issues, those who have had to spend months shielding and feeling isolated. Their situation is not seen as any lesser because of what I'm going to share. I just wanted to give a positive story in a negative time. At the start of the year, somebody I know was approaching her 40th birthday. She was in the process of selling a house which was jointly owned by her long-term boyfriend. They had amicably chosen to go their separate ways, and each of them was purchasing a flat. Whilst the sales were going through, she moved into a room in a shared house for a short-term stay, or so she thought. Boom! Lockdown was announced. No one was going anywhere. She was devastated, and after a couple of weeks of it all, and spending her 40th birthday alone in the shared house, she found herself thinking about her future and her life. The slow movement of the legalities meant that the sales and purchases were dragging on and on. She was working from home in her single room and was therefore quite isolated. With time on her hands, she seriously got on with improving her Spanish, something that she'd been learning for some time. She completed online courses, very intensive ones, and eventually completed courses for teaching English as a second language. She engaged online with Spanish speakers so that she could really improve her skills. As time continued, the sales and the purchases crashed. The buyer had pulled out and therefore she could not buy her flat. Work was also getting shaky, with redundancies looming on the horizon. COVID had hit her workplace like everybody else's. It was then she made a momentous decision. She was going to pursue the idea of teaching English in Spain as a foreign language, whilst improving her Spanish as well. She decided to abandon purchasing the property and lock, stock and barrel move over to Madrid. She found a job teaching English there, whilst continuing to learn Spanish with the company. She secured accommodation and even arranged for her cat to join her. She decided that if she didn't do it now, she'd never do it, and COVID had given her the chance to actually move on and make that decision. So, in about 10 days' time, she's due to fly to Madrid and take up her post, unless, of course, there are any other surprises around the corner. Never ever would this woman have imagined herself in any sort of teaching post. Never would she have expected to move to Spain. And never would I have thought she'd have had the confidence to do all this. The events of the year had completely turned her life around, and she is undertaking something she would never have done if COVID hadn't reared its ugly head. So if you feel that this whole year has been a complete waste of your life, remember it isn't over yet. You do not know what may come out of all this. We've all been given time, and it is up to us to use it. We can sit and moan about our situation, or we can use the situation to learn something new. Read those books we kept meaning to read, listen to music, write letters to friends and family, a dying art, paint, decorate, do all the jobs we meant to do. God gave us every minute of our lives, and He expects us to use it well. We can even enjoy the times we are doing nothing. We can use that time to relax, recharge our batteries, and contemplate God's goodness and provision. We may not have been able to go on our holidays, we may have been stuck in, but we're still here. We have roofs over our heads, clothes on our backs and food to eat. We have our families and we have our spiritual family. We can even give thanks for social media, something that's usually seen as a negative force in so many lives. For those on their own, social media has enabled them to keep in touch with the wider world. God is in control of this seemingly uncontrollable situation. We may not be able to see the rhyme or reason of it all, but hang on in there. It'll become clear eventually. We need to be prepared to stand up for God. Many are blaming it on him, saying, what sort of God lets things like this happen? We know this is a man-made catastrophe, and until man turns back to God, we will continue destroying our world and ourselves. But on the flip side, others are starting to think about the fragility of life and about God's existence. Be ready to give them a message of hope. God is not taken by surprise. He isn't a God who wants us to feel hopeless and helpless. He wants us to lean on him and trust him. This can be so difficult at times. We have so many questions, many doubts and fears and wobbles. Well, do you know, that's okay. Remember, he made us. He gave us the ability to think for ourselves and have feelings and viewpoints. So of course he won't be surprised when we ask questions. I must give him earache with my questions, gripes and groans, but that doesn't mean I'm lacking faith. I still know he's God and he reigns over all, but my earthly human side does have the occasional wobble. I believe God likes us to open up to him truthfully about our feelings, because that shows we are comfortable with him and we will be honest with him. So as this year of ups and downs continues on its way, and we still don't quite know which way it's going to end, let us keep our eyes on the one who knows his plan for us, plans to prosper us and not to harm us. Let us also remember that we are family. If one of the family is hurting, we all feel it. If any of the family are struggling or feeling they are going under, please let us feel confident that we can approach each other with our worries without fearing judgment or condemnation. We are all at different stages, and it is unlikely we will ever all be in the same place at the same time. So be blessed this week and be a keeper. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep praying for this situation. Keep an eye out for each other and keep a sense of humour. I'm just going to finish with this prayer. It's written by a Thomas Merton. I came across it this week. My Lord God, I have no idea where I am going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself and the fact that I think I am following your will. It does not mean that I am actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you does in fact please you. And I hope that I have that desire in all I am doing. I hope that I will never do anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it. Therefore I will trust you always. Though I may seem to be lost and in the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone. Go well, stay safe everybody. Bye.